Yeah, here we go. Hey, it's BT with Tales from the Gemini, and I love. Thank you so much, Malik. I love having I love my guests, but I really love when I have an in-guest studio. My in-guest studio is one of the most fascinating people, honestly, of locals. I'm just fascinating people, period. And honestly, I didn't think you ever liked me as just as a person, because I got that kind of feeling like I guess I always felt like you treated me like I owed you money and I had it but didn't pay you. So it's like, hey, and you're like, hey, and I was like, I don't think this girl likes me. So my guest is Hannah Roeschlein, comedian extraordinaire, and just an all around interesting person from here in Indiana, Terre Haute.
Clay City, so smaller. It's 70 minutes west of here.
Oh my God.
Rural. Yeah, I grew up in Drive Your Tractor to School Day, Indiana, which, as you know, is a super cool place to be raised mixed. I stuck out like a sore chopstick, but I am from here. I am homegrown Hoosier, which is kind of what I've been, saying along the campaign trail for the last year plus was, I'm from here, but I'm not dumb here.
I like
but
that.
I'm as much in this fucking shit as anybody else. So.
Well, I'm originally from Oklahoma, so coming here was it's like Indiana's like Oklahoma with a better racetrack. That's what I always say. It's basically the same people. It really is. You know what I mean? So, and you have an interesting background because your mom is Filipino.
Correct.
And your dad is German.
Heritage, yeah. So small town Indiana, white boy, born and raised, mom, banana boat, Filipino.
So how'd they meet?
Culmination me.
How'd they meet? How'd they meet?
You would think it would be something like the military or something else, like
That's what I was gonna say.
stereotypical,
Yeah,
but it's not. Dad was a former hippie, kind of just like piece of shit like me before, and then he found Jesus in his 30s.
Oh,
became
that's the worst.
a pastor.
Oh,
and then
that's the
went out
worst.
to Bible college in San Diego, met my mom, who had heard somebody named Morris Cerullo, a former evangelist, preach in the Philippines, and just felt drawn to convert from Catholicism to Christianity and end up at that same Bible college. And that's where they met.
Okay.
And then they came back here to...
Why would you, if you were in San Diego, why would you move from San Diego to Indiana? I mean, that's backward. I mean, if you've been to San Diego,
I have.
It's the greatest place on earth. It goes San Diego and then heaven. That's how nice San Diego is. The greatest weather, I think, honestly, in the world, or it's at least in the United States, it's the greatest weather. Seriously.
Insane.
It's right, number one. It's always 82 with that ocean breeze. Why would you go back to Indiana from San Diego? That right there.
They like it. They're older. They're boomers. They're just...
But San Diego.
I know.
But it's San Diego. You can surf. I mean, tractors, surfing. I mean, seriously.
I think of all the decisions that were made that led to me being here on this podcast, and I think across the board, a bunch of people doing bad math, which for my Asian mom and me, that does a bad look, but we're doing it.
But you were born, okay, so you were born and raised, so you had nothing to compare it to, right?
Oh, no. And the crazy thing is, even being 37 years old, having had a 15-year, drinking problem, basically a battle with alcoholism, I never left. So it's I always had, I was in high school all the way up to drinking. I wanted to go out of state. I just couldn't imagine. I was going to contribute to the brain drain here, and then immediately I go to IU, I start drinking, I drop out, and that becomes the next 15 years of my life. Up until about 950 or so some odd days. That's
wow.
Yeah, so there's a million times I wanted to be gone, but I was drinking so much and just basically, you know what I mean, just in that I was here. And so now what's crazy is that last year, probably in the early part of the year, my plans were to move to Chicago on the way to LA for just comedy. I wanted more open mics. I felt like I was not outgrowing things here, but I just wanted, a little new injection of energy. And now, having endured COVID for the past, year plus, and then also just some personal losses and different things, I've found more drawn to stay here than ever, which sounds crazy.
Yeah.
But it's simply because of the fact that I know that my voice here, truly carries. And it carries, something that's, bigger than me.
Now, when you say your voice, you mean your voice in comedy or just your voice, period?
Both.
Okay. How long have you been doing comedy?
I'm approaching my 4th year.
Okay. Oh, really?
Yeah, and the first year and a half I was doing comedy, BT, was the death throes of my alcoholism. So, my first year and a half on stage, I don't remember being on stage at all.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I was always popular. None of that ever changed. I was always myself and a person that people cared about, but I was just incredibly troubled. So, my first year and a half of comedy, like I said, was the end of that journey with alcohol for me. But it's I remember, my first open mic ever at Shoe Fly, 15 of my buddies came. So like what's still happening now and the ability to sell out shows, like that's just more a testament to like the work I've done and you know what I mean, the things in between as opposed to like who I was.
Yeah.
Because people were showing up for me. It's just now they really, you know what I mean? They're not going to turn back because of, you know, the progress forward we've made just in general.
Okay, so when did you start drinking?
About 18 and a half. I was late to that party. Like I said, small town, born and raised, Asian mom, pastor dad, and not of the cool kind of church where they diddle kids and like drink box wine. We're talking, I was doing heavy CrossFit, BT, like that kind of, you know, 5 services a week, people speaking in tongues. Like I know the Bible like the back of my hand. I could quote scripture and black out. And frankly, the crazy thing is, it's not crazy really, but I still have a semblance of a religious like background in like, you know, like a practicing faith.
It stays with you though. It does. It stays with you.
And mine has evolved. Mine is definitely a hybrid spirituality.
Right.
It's challenging. It's even challenging to my parents.
Yeah, but, now are they still old school like that? Like fire and brimstone, basically.
For sure.
Okay, yeah, but they don't know how to step out of that. Step out. Okay, like you know, it's like blinders on. This is the way it's going to be, and it's great that you had the wherewithal to go. Okay, I still have that grounded. Like I still believe. Now, I don't know if I'm speaking for you. Still believe that there's a higher power, but maybe it's not more spirituality because this doesn't really make sense because. You know what I mean? If you see the world today, this doesn't really make sense. And how can you correlate these two?
100%. And I had some tough conversations with my parents last year, but I'm thankful to be able to do it sober and clearly and in a way that's, you know, like truly coming from a space that's like centered and grounded because, you know, like I was saying with my hybrid spirituality, it's like I'll go to Traders Point Christian Church or somewhere here in town every now and then if I feel like it. But then I call my pussy Squirt Curry. You know, so it's like, on stage, you know what I mean? I'm about to get merch made. So it's like, that's tough. You know, I know a lot of Christians aren't going to look at that and be like, that's it. But I guarantee you, if you look at everything I do on a day-to-day basis, you will see forth the face of God.
First of all, no. I'm not gonna let that one go. It was Squirt. How did you come up with Squirt Curry?
Well, I'm a big NBA fan. I got 7 I'm just being honest, BT. I have 7 tattoos. 2 of my 7 tattoos are sports related. This is a true story.
Okay.
My first one ever I got when I was 20. It's the Pacers, Colts, Yankees logos. Those are my favorite teams.
Okay.
And then another one I got on the day that Kobe Bryant fell from the sky. I know, tough day.
Yeah, it was.
But I got a little. Like a little tattoo on a thought spot on my non-existent side boob, and it's 8.9 in shot clock format, and that's for Reggie Miller's 8 points in 8.9 seconds.
Wow.
Which is my favorite sports memory of all time.
Well, and he saw you perform.
No, he did not see me perform. He's followed me for the last year on social media. That's it. And he basically saw me all last year. You know, I buried 5 friends. That's just like the reality of kind of the seasons of life I'm going through, you know, and I like never left the stage. And I was just out there and doing all this stuff. And so basically, like I said, I got that 8.9 tattoo and I like tagged him in it. And the cool thing about Reggie is Reggie online on Instagram, if you tag him and stuff and it's reasonable, he'll just like reshare it. You know what I mean?
No, he did it to you. I follow Reggie. He's never done that shit to me. No, sir.
Have you tagged him?
No, listen. Reggie, if you know, Reggie races bicycles now.
I do.
Yeah. So Reggie, nothing. So that's a woman. That's a hot woman thing.
Okay.
It's not an everybody thing. So,
Me and Reggie. So basically,
you and Reggie. See, you can say it like a friend. Me and Reggie.
Well,
really? I follow that motherfucker for the past 10 years.
This is what happened though. I can honestly say this. I want to say this story just to people so they understand the organic nature of how things come to be. Mm-hmm. You know. But it's like basically September 2019, before we went, you know, like would go into COVID that next year. I did my first LA show ever. It was called Motherland.
Okay.
And it had everybody on the show had like TV credits, you know, like as seen on Netflix, and mine says Red Flag Comedy, and I looked like it was a picture they chose from Evening at the Authors where I looked like I was coming out of Studio 54. People were confused. I did it. I was so nervous that I was like, okay, what am I going to do to feel grounded or just myself, you know? So I wore my childhood Reggie Miller jersey, which I'm prone to doing. My boobs never came in, so it still fits. Put it on, wore it. Somebody took my picture. I went to sleep that night, and I just like tagged Reggie in it, you know, put the picture up, and I was like, hey, just did my first Cali show, wore my childhood Reggie Miller jersey, you know, like little pray hands emojis, like, you know, bless up.
Yeah.
Went to sleep. The next morning, I see that like he had just shared it. Okay, so like nothing But still, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah,
You know, like
yeah.
I'm a homegrown Hoosier. Like I told you, we used to go to Market Square Arena and sit in the nosebleeds,
Yeah.
you know, and come into town to watch basketball. So like all my favorite sports memories are from that era. So I was like, this is the coolest thing to ever happen to me.
Right.
Now we skirt into the next year, 2020 starts. All hell starts breaking loose. Kobe, the thing. I get the 8.9 for Reggie. I tag him again, and it's like about that time is where I think somewhere in the early part of the year he started following me. So it wasn't just like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
He's following.
Whose phone is that? Whose phone is that? It's somebody's phone. Whose phone is that?
It's
Yours?
not mine.
It's not mine either. Okay,
Okay,
anyway.
good.
Okay.
So he starts following me, but, you know, still, I mean, just still a cool thing, but
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
And so the whole year, like I said, I just started slowly putting buddies in the ground and doing the things, and I was feeling all kinds of angst all year because I thought we had an active shooter in the White House, because we did. So
Yeah.
good on that guy being gone.
Yeah.
Get over it, everybody.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
It's mostly for the racists on the
Yeah,
street.
we'll get.
You can't see on this podcast,
Yeah.
but people are walking by, and I want them
Yeah.
to know how I feel.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
But
We'll
he
get to that.
basically, it just like, I would see every now and then, you know, I'd go on live streams and I'd be like high and crying and
Yeah.
just imploring everyone to, you know, take time to like take care of themselves and each other and be gentle with our mentals and care about the right stuff.
Yes, yeah.
So he just started watching what I did as a person. So like Reggie Miller's never seen me do comedy, aside from maybe those little lives or like whatever.
Yeah.
And he's a busy person.
Right.
You know, we know how this works.
Yes, yes.
But long story short, it got to the place where, like, starting last fall, he would just, like, even on my, like, if I'd put a quality sort of a post on my Instagram grid where I was, like, talking about good-hearted things.
Yes.
Not thirst traps or bullshit.
Which
but
you do.
Good stuff. Like,
Yeah, you really do.
race. I know. It's as much of my platform as any of the stupid
Yes,
shit.
it
In
is.
fact,
Yes, it is.
it took prominence last year, and I don't think I'll ever change it.
Yeah.
Because that's just who I am and
Yeah.
now, and that's where I've settled into and want to be. But he basically would just, like, comment stuff, like, baller, and I was like, whoa, this is getting wild. Now, this gets all the way to December, and where the coolest thing in the world happens to me. I was just down the street when it happened, but I had just been in Indie Monthly.
Okay. Congratulations,
I got
by the way.
a third of a page. Yeah, a third of a page. If your dreams are to have a third of a page in Indie Monthly for your style, I was in my look, and I had, once again, that Reggie Miller jersey on, because I always
I saw
wear it.
that. No, I saw that play. Yeah, you look great in that,
Thank
by the
you.
way.
Well,
I mean,
that's a professional shooter.
Yes, you look
Dude,
great.
He made me look like a fucking gym. Like,
No,
I was
you
in
look-
there-
no.
We were like crying, laughing.
But you look great, though.
He was dying.
Yeah.
But I basically, like, I post some stuff about it, and I just will never forget. It was like it was an evening, and I was at the Whole Foods down the street, and I was in the parking lot, and I get on my cell phone, and I just see, like, I had posted something about that article, or the little piece, and I see that I have, like, 3 missed messages from Reggie, okay? And I'm like, that's weird, because I know, like, on Instagram, if you don't know how IG works, it's like, if somebody reposts your stuff,
Yeah.
it'll show up in your messages as, like, something they did. But it's not necessarily a message. It's just like, hey, they tagged you in something and whatever. But I'm just like, I didn't post anything today that he could have shared. So
Yeah.
immediately my mind is like, what's happening? And then that's when I get on Instagram, and I realize that Reggie Miller has created in December 3 slides of original content for me. Like, Reggie Miller put up 3 slides to 500,000 people, including Leonardo DiCaprio, that said, he took my own video, the video that my buddy shot at the Indie Monthly shoot, spliced it down on his own. These aren't things like I said that I tagged him in and then he just put up.
Yeah.
He created these for me. And the first one is like a little bit of video, and it's like, follow at Hander Pump Rules, like, total badass. Second slide, another video of me, total, it was like something else, like, just, and then the third slide said, one of the funniest comics I know. And
Wow.
I threw up in that parking lot. It just, like, was like, it was so overwhelming, but such a powerful moment for me of just, like, an understanding where I'm like, oh, you cried your way there.
Your hero posted. So that had to just overwhelm you with.
I haven't talked to a dude since. I am like, it's double middle fingers and jack-offs for your girl. Like, you can't tell me anything. My hometown hero.
Can't tell you
It's like
shit.
Drake could put me up. Anyone could do anything, but it's like, it's not as meaningful to me as that.
That is.
But it was such a cool thing, BT, and that's what I'm really just trying to say is, like, that was really just the result of a million different things, but truly just being kind of in alignment with who you are, and somebody being able to, like, hear that, like, resonate with your frequency. And I'm so thankful for it. It's absolutely absurd. I mean, like my buddies were calling me, like a friend called me crying that night. She's like, "You're on Reggie Miller's story." And I'm like, I know. I don't know what to say to you. But the cool thing is, like, I'll send him messages, like when he had a daughter, his new daughter, and I was just like, "Congrats to you and the fam, sending you love." And he's like always sending like you like whatever. And he's even sent me messages before where he's like, "You're on your way." So like whatever that is, and I don't even know. Like I said, I just don't know how we got here, aside from just being here the whole time and doing the things. And it's not even like anything crazy's come of it. However, it's just like that understanding that like I'm being seen, and like that's like carrying beyond.
That is beautiful.
A jizz joke, dude.
It really is. No, it really is. And I mean it from the bottom of my heart. That's great for you. But you know, I congratulate him on his races that he got like third, fourth. Hey, congratulations, Reggie. Keep it up, buddy. And I know one of the ladies he trained, who's a world champion, who was on this show and everything. And I say, hey man, talk to Annika, blah blah. You know. Nothing, really. And you, I'm like, okay, thanks, Reg. Can we talk about having Reggie on the show? I was like, he ain't gonna talk to me now. You and him are like this. But honestly, though, I mean, but all jokes aside, I think that's great because where were you at mentally before that, though?
I mean, in a tough place.
Yeah.
And I still kind of am. That's part of the reason, like I said, that I shifted off comedy being what leads for me and more on the other side of like my humanity because of the fact that it's like, I've never gone to sleep. I realized last year, I've never gone to sleep since I was a little kid and woke up and wasn't one of the funniest people in a room. Just naturally, that's who I am. Yeah. That's who I've always been.
Right.
I got to comedy late, but whatever. I already had 30 plus years on me and I'm glad, you know, to have had like that
experience. You had experience to talk
and
about.
that ability.
Yeah.
You know, but I realize right now, it's like, I just understand there's so many bigger voices out there that need amplified. And it was just better for me to go ahead and make a sound for those things instead of my own. But at the same time, look what happened. It still directly benefited me as well, you know? So, like, that's the beautiful thing about giving to others. It never keeps you. I've never had a blessing in my life that was, like, kept another person from one of theirs.
Okay.
Like, people got to kind of get out of that, like, mindset, you know? Like, an understanding that it's, like, there's just so many ways to do this.
Right.
There are so many ways to just... be good, but I think that, you know, I encourage you, if you have a platform and you're out there and you have a heart for the kinds of things that I do, that you start figuring out how to incorporate that into your professional life as well, so they become as, like, seamless as, you know, anything else.
Well, okay, now, you know, to go back a little bit to the drinking part, was that just a regular, like, you know, kids, I mean, they drink. I mean, but was it for you, was it masking something else, or were you just drinking just to drink and then it got out of hand?
Both, I feel, probably. It's hard to tell. I definitely am an alcoholic. You know what I mean? I can say that. It's like like I said, I didn't drink in high school as being a pretty good firstborn pastor's daughter, you know, and I went to IU scholarship and I started drinking there and immediately it just like got sauced and didn't stop. So like when I tell you I was drinking for 15 years, I mean, in excess, minimum 10 drinks a day, but most of probably the last few years of that, I was probably up in the 15 to 20 range of drinks. Every single day. So imagine at some point, it's like, even when I was doing comedy that first year and a half, I would write my jokes sober. I'm an English major. So like they would be good. And a lot of my jokes from the very beginning are still building blocks of things I say now, but it's just totally different. By the time I'd be on stage at any given point, whether it was an open mic level or when we created Red Flag and I'd start getting booked a little bit, I was a liability. You know, because it's like, who knows where I'd be on the 50 Shades of Blacked Out, and I would be like, I mean, I would get up there and my punchlines would swim, and Dyke used to like scream up to me at the stage to try to get me back on track with jokes that he knew I knew, but I would be so fucked up.
Wow. Okay, so like, what was your plan when you first went to? I mean, what was the plan going into school? What was going to be your major? What was going to be your life's plan?
I was a double major, political science, philosophy, emphasis pre-med. I wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon, and I was just like interested in all of those things. But I also just like, I've realized over time, like school wasn't really my thing. I've always like hated it. Yeah. Even having a big brain, like being in there, I have attendance issues. Yeah. You know, I've done 4 days in Marion County Jail. Like authority and those kinds of things, and people telling me what to do has never been.
The one down here? The one down here on Washington Street?
Which one?
The one on Washington Street?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I've been in that one.
Yeah, I did 3. I did a holiday weekend.
I did a day.
Yeah, it felt good. It was good. I take quicker showers now.
Yes, you do.
You do.
If you've been to jail,
Dude,
you take the
do.
quick shower.
The quickest, I mean, you can enjoy yourself, but you'll definitely take some quick ones.
Yes. That's the thing about jail. You learn the quick shower. Get in, get out, baby. Get in, get out. You know what I mean?
Man, oh man.
Okay. So.
But it just took a totally different turn.
Yeah.
But the cool thing is like I realize like I have a lot of those like interests in me still,
Right.
and I'm getting better as I get older, even with comedy, even now starting to headline and just those little things and blessings. But just making sure that like I'm staying in balance. And I realized like, yeah, if I wanted to do all that when I went to school and I was going to spend my scholarship money on that, then truly I have an interest and a desire and a curiosity for all these different types of things in life. So like I'm just figuring out ways nowadays to make sure that like all the different parts of me are like feeling like they're being represented. And even on the stage, like, you know, when you first start doing comedy, as you know, like you're never guaranteed to do more than 5 ever.
Right.
Ever. There's
Right.
some people who will ever only do 5. That's, you know, as no matter like what they do.
Yeah.
And so now kind of extending into these spaces, though, I realize now doing 30, 45, I have the ability to really make sure, like, and then say all the things I want that are, you know, it doesn't just have to be Hannah and like, ha ha ha, talking about my girl gash funny. It's like, oh, I got an ability to talk about that. And in the very next breath, talk about, you know, the Asian American racism that's going on, Black Lives Matter, all those things, like the election, all those things became important to me, and anything that's important to me comes out on stage.
Well, I think that's, and I wanted to get to that, but first of all, because I love that angle. Growing up the way you did, like I said, was there any other Asian kids in your, I know small town,
Hell
so,
no.
you know, okay, so.
And we're half white, you know what I
Right.
mean? So imagine like how little that diversity is. Like that's my siblings. That's me, Mela, and TL, and then my mom. That was the only ones in town that had any other ethnicity.
Oh.
And we're walking around with a white pastor dad that everyone knows. You know what I mean? And I still battled
So
whimsical racism.
But that's what I mean. Okay, so did anybody with growing up, even they're probably referring to you, did they ever say things to you that you look back now that were racist, or back then did you kind of like let it glance off and go, I wonder if that was, but you let it kind of go, and then now you look back like, I should have said something back
For
then.
sure. I mean, I got called, the thing is not having an Asian population where I was, that, you know, people are not only like, not dumb to ethnicity, but they definitely have no knowledge or basis in it. They haven't seen it. And if they haven't traveled or been around, like they don't know, how would they know? So it's like my mom's from the Philippines.
Or they don't want to know.
Yeah, for sure. Or
Yeah.
they don't care. But my mom's from the Philippines, but we got called everything from gook to chink to spick, you know, depending on how tan I was. That's just how people are.
They called you a gook?
For sure.
Like what was the content?
No,
What happened?
You know, I don't even know. These are just things I would hear on the playground. And the thing is, like I was telling you, I've always been a very funny kid.
Right.
Like I've like been out there just making people piss laugh. So it's like I also though like in that racism as a kid that I was enduring, I had a really like nice sense of self. Even as a youngster where like I looked at racist and I'd be like, oh, wow, how sad for you. Even as a kid where I'm like, oh, that's so stupid. You know what I mean? Like, you don't even know my actual ethnicity, which makes it so funny that a neighbor one whole school year called my brother Filipinas. Because now looking back, I'm like, Jason, you were a Filipinus. Look at you, dude. Like a hillbilly, like a woke hillbilly, like ethnicity whisperer. You know, like I'm like, I don't even, and it's funny. It's a great joke where I'm like, but I mean, overall in general, like just a very low level of understanding of other races. And even the Indiana I live in now at 37 as opposed to a 7-year-old is similar.
Oh, now has it gotten to the point now, maybe that you're getting older and you see how things are, especially, and you mentioned it, in the last 4 years, that it just kind of like, I feel like that the racism became more now out in the open and just blatantly, and has it caused attention where it's an underbub? Like, because I think sometimes, and correct me if I'm wrong, please, like, being a woman sometimes, and not to demean that, but but you know, it's going to come in different ways. Because at first I say it's a woman, it's different, but being a woman and a hot woman, and you're going to get it, but you're going to get it different and in 2 ways though. If it makes sense, you know what I mean? Well, I'm going to get it more blatantly, or sometimes it's coming to your face, or there might be subliminal behind me, or yeah, I hear that, or I know how you're coming at me with. Where it might be a little more subtle, but you can still feel it, but you're still a woman, so.
For sure. And I occupy such a weird space too, because you, like the little you've seen me, BT, like out and about. It's like, I have very bro-like tendencies too.
Yeah.
So like I'm always in these spaces where, and I think people, you know, it's like a lot of things that are said to me over time is like having a vibrant sense of humor. It's like a lot of that I just kind of let people say things over time because I was making similar jokes too. I still make Asian jokes on stage, but the difference is what I'm telling people from stage is I can. I can. You know what I mean?
Right.
You can't. But even like, like that's how that's supposed to, that's how that works. Like that's the thing. But it's even now, like when I will say out loud on stage where I'm like, oh yeah, I was called things like gook and chink. Like people in the audience will be like, like some of them like, oh, I can't believe it, and I'm like, you don't have to tighten up. I was called it by pricks that look like you on the playground.
Yeah, but no, that's what always kills. Like, oh my God, that really happened. Me go, really?
And even if you're not saying like Asian jokes or women jokes or black jokes in a way that's like where you're really trying to be misogynist or racist about it, is still just contributing to a toxic dialogue.
Yes, like, okay, has there ever been a time though where like maybe even if it wasn't on stage, where you kind of you felt like, because how you say like you go back and forth and like I'll say this and then, but where you go, you know what, I kind of should have said something, or I kind of shouldn't have let that ride, or I shouldn't have let that be whimsical and joked back with it in a way, or I should have stood up and go, hey, no, motherfucker, I don't like what you said, or I mean, has it ever gotten to that point?
It had to have been,
or you kind of got mad at yourself.
For sure, I think a million times I felt that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's just one of those things, like going forward, I only know now,
right?
The things that we can demand and want for ourselves. That's right. the sucky part about all the racism coming out in the way that it did is that, it is more dangerous and it feels more volatile than ever.
It really does.
However,
yes,
it does allow, because of how blatant, that became, for the entire other side who's sitting there and going, this isn't cool. Well, now, like, not only is it not cool, we actually have to condemn it. We have to come out and do things. When it's like swept under the rug, racism, it's like it's only confronted when talked about. Now it's everywhere. It's prevalent. The one thing that, Donald, I do not like him at all.
Yeah.
But the one thing I will say for him, you know what I mean? He popped a pimple in a way that was like, it takes a person like him to do. A very polarizing, almost, I don't want to say Hitler-esque figure, but you have to have these humans that get stuff so ugly and scary.
Yes.
Whether it's like even Donald, I don't think he's incredibly like smart or even bad. He's a puppet of a system that's a way bigger, and uglier, and now we're seeing... But
he exposed that 100%. System. He exposed it. And now, because before him, people didn't really talk about systemic racism. No, you don't hear this about systemic racism. But then again, black people always knew it. We're like, man.
For
I mean,
sure.
you know what I mean? But no one ever listened to us. And I still feel like they don't. But that's why we need like allies. So he did expose that, and he did in a weird way bring people together in a way going, that's not how we want to be. I mean, I don't want to be that. And that's why I felt like when the election came or whatever, that, they cheated, whatever. But I just felt like at some point down in people's marrow, they go, you know what? I don't want to be part of that anymore. I want it to be a better world. So like for you, and because it's recent, and because it's publicized recent, and you saw what happened in Atlanta, sure. And you saw what's happening now. And when he said that, when the coronavirus first started, I mean, how did it make you feel when he said,
Kung flu?
When he said Kung flu, I mean...
Kung flu, I laughed. I am going to say that right now, just for the record. Kung flu was Donald's best work. Kung flu made me mad that I did not.
Everybody says that.
However...
Yeah.
But I definitely was also just like, that's just made me more aware that I was like, oh, that's a person that does not value my ethnic group at all. So it's like, whether it's a stupid joke or not, it's just like, that is from the helm of the presidency.
But he's a president.
100%.
I mean, if anybody else, that's funny because it's comedy club and you're saying but when you're the president and you got your nut jobs who follow you like this, mm-hmm. And who when he had those rallies and he talked about the Mexicans being rapists and the Muslims and the fever pitch of the crowd as violent as they got when they punched those black people, I was like, you can't. I knew what his crowd was about, and him saying that just opened up the floodgates. I mean, did you feel the same way?
100%. I mean, in essence, I felt like I derailed my career last year, you know what I mean, on taking the stances that I did. But like I said, I just had no ability to go up there and stand for 5 to 50 minutes and not say things and not implore humans towards something I felt was more important to the overall conversation than whatever sorts of bits I had. And even now in time, I figured out how to work them both together, right, if that matters to you. You know, for some people, it's like, they'll never do that kind of comedy, and it's okay. In fact, it's not for the faint of heart, and I encourage you not to. It's not. I don't like going up there and doing stream of consciousness and all the kinds of stuff I do, but that's who I am, and that's just the way it works for me.
You got to be who you are.
Yeah, I wish sometimes I had those very like structured sets where I could just come in, rip 30, know it's exactly the same, and then get off there. And I think maybe in time there will be chapters where I will. However, right now, that's not where we're at.
But if that's not who you are, I mean, because it's like I just love comedy, period, and I love that I could watch somebody who can be just goofy and funny like Brian Regan, or clean and funny like a Nate Bargatze, but then I love people who can sit up there and just make you.
Miss Pat, I mean,
Miss Pat, oh my God, yeah, Miss Pat, and you sit there and just laugh, but it does make a point, and so about her journey in life, but she makes
incredible story.
Yeah. Incredible story. It's like, that's what I love about comedy, and people who are just goofy, but people make a point like Godfrey. Did you see Godfrey when he came in and ripped? I saw him Sunday do like 2.5 hours and just ripped. And I mean, he made everybody, like, if you're white, you're like, and your ass was puckered, like, oh my God, this guy, and didn't give and it's beautiful to watch. So I just love, and me personally, I still haven't found out what comic I want to be. There's sometimes I just want to be like, hey man, go, but then it's like, I just feel like, I just felt that burden that it's like you. It's like I just felt like I have to say something and get it out, and I don't give a shit if they like it or not because it burdens my soul.
For sure.
I mean, I'm a nut at home. I'm a nut job.
And for you and I, it's a bad look if we don't. I didn't just start condemning those things because it was like I wanted to do some kind of performative allyship. I did it because like I am Asian American. I have a distinctive viewpoint. Like, we live in Indiana.
Right.
This was one of the fastest states to turn orange. I wasn't even out of the polls, and they're like, we called it for Trump. And I was like, for fucking sure we did. There's still 1,000 people in line. Doesn't even matter. And they're like, it's already noon. They're like, go ahead. We called it, But I know what I'm up against, and that's what I'm saying. I choose to stay, dude. Fastest state to orange, dude. We were. They just marked us up. You weren't even Nah, dude.
It's over. It's done.
It's a wrap. Like I said, I was making a statement, not that I thought it was going to shift anything, just to let everyone know, hey, you know what I mean? This is a blue heart, Bubba. Like, I'm walking around with you, and it's going to look tricky because I wear a Carhartt beanie often. I got a little bit of a twang to my voice. If I'm hungry or tired, I say John Deere Gook. I think these are things that can make a person feel confused. But I'm here.
I mean, I feel the same way. I call myself, I'm a black redneck. I got a pickup truck, a motorcycle, I like rock and roll.
I love all that shit.
But at the same time, but I'm still black though. And so here's the thing. We're growing up where, I got a couple years on you. So growing up the way I did, it was like I always felt like, and correct me if I'm wrong, please, check me. Is that like I always felt, and it's just me, and because we had the same seriously, maybe 3 or 4 Asians in our class. And I had a big school. It was like black, white, that kind of tension. But we had like maybe I said 4 or 5 Asians, maybe. And I knew, but they always kind of sided with the whites in that way. I mean, they were more friends with them. So they kind of acted, like they were white. So they kind of like had that attitude. And my thing was always like, yeah, okay, whatever. But when it all turns, when we're gone, they're going to come after you. And I always felt that. I always said, when we're gone, they're going to come after you because trust me. And I don't want anybody, I don't want anybody to go through what black people go through. That's why, and I hate that violence, that we have, or any kind of violence with the trans community, with the gay community. I don't want anybody to go. But I saw that, and I saw that happening when I was a kid. I said, okay, you're going to side with the whites? Fine. But when we're gone or whatever, they're going to turn on you. And you're going to be the black person, and you're going to get it. And now that I see it, and I saw it coming. So, like, was there a sighting? Like, when we went to college, was there like a, were your friends white? Were they black? And did you see that? Were you conscious enough to see that? Or do you have friends of all kinds?
At school, like in the college age, I started, when I finally got into collegiate settings at IU and then ISU both, I started having more international friends. And, like, making them, and in time, like, I would have, like, now my circle is completely diverse. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like all the letters, all the genders, no genders, all the colors. But back then it was still pretty white, Right. And I definitely had a similar feeling to what you were describing about those like 4 or 5 Asians in your school, whereas like I still am half white.
Right.
So like I always kind of had that in my back pocket as well. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, it wasn't like siding with someone. It's just still half of my existence I kind of had in there. So it was like, it was definitely more skewed towards geography and where I was located, and also just like what mattered to me.
Right.
But it's definitely changed over time. But I think the thing is, even getting back to what you were talking about with your comedy, it's like, I'm just shape-shifting a lot. And I think that you can too. And I encourage people to do that. Like, if something doesn't serve you, shed it. Edit every day.
Yeah.
Like, just, you know, like, I work every day to be incrementally better.
You know
like,
what?
even if it's just a step forward, a single step. And then guess what? What did it lead to a year later in the most topsy-turvy, 500,000 humans dead, you know what I mean, in the United
Trust me,
States,
I know,
sort
yeah.
of a year, people's knees on necks and shooting up, you know, like this Asian hate crime. It's like, but that's, you know, it doesn't matter when you get hip to something.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter when you find out, like, that's not the way, like
Right.
a bunch of people did with Trump last year. But if you do find it out whenever, and you do not make the necessary changes, well, you know, like, you're going to have to sit with that. And I think there's just a lot less people nowadays who are willing to sit with that anymore.
Yeah, you know, it sounds. Oh, and I said, listen, this sounds cheesy. It really does. And if I was watching me right now out on the street, listening to me and watching me, and I was maybe 15, 20 years young, I go, man, this dude's cheesy, man. What's this fucking dude? And I'd be the first one to say this dude's cheesy. But man, where I am now, I get it, man. Every day, I just want to be a little bit better. I want to open it. I like having that open. I always felt I had an open mind, but it's like, I want to have a more open mind and more like, okay, I see it. And then, you know, and that's why I think it bothered me more to feel like we were going backwards in life. You know, I felt like, you know what I mean? You see, like, the same things happen, and I go, man, have we even made progress? Have we, I mean, as black people, have we made progress? That's why my problem with Catholicism is always like, you know, it's stereotypically, but not even stereotypically, it's just the truth. Black people are the most that go to church. Like 83% of our community go to church. And I'm like, as a group, has it ever really worked out for us as a group? I mean, you know, you picture a white Jesus in a black church. And I saw a meme that said it best. He goes, oh, so this is the one white guy that's gonna treat you right. This is the one white guy that's gonna make sure you're gonna get in there. And it made sense to me. And that's why my question of Catholicism, and I understand it individually in faith and everything, but now I question everything. But now I do want to get better as a person every day. But it's hard. It's incredibly hard now for me.
It is.
You know?
None of this that we've been talking about today is possible without discipline, without curiosity
and meditation,
Oh,
which you're into.
Yes.
Yeah, I know about
we didn't
that.
even get into that. I wasn't even going to be like,
No,
hey, fuckers, meditate.
No,
'cause
I
it'll
love
change
that.
your life, but it will.
No, because you know what, honestly, and like I watched your stuff, and there was one video you put on Instagram. I couldn't watch it because it took me to a place I go, I can't. I mean, I knew you were hurting somewhere, and I saw that. And I watched and I go, okay, I can't watch anymore. Because it made me tear up, and I go, I can't watch it. But I was glad that because you always say, check your mentals.
Yeah,
you know, you check mentals, and then you go meditate. And I go, that's good. And, you know, and like, I think the yoga in the morning helps me out to get me to a place where, because if I didn't do that, when I left the house, I have no doubt I would rip somebody's head off. And I mean it from about a heart. Because, you know, I mean, it started in 2016. And I just remember, like, I was going to a friend's wedding in Nebraska, and I had to drive. And that is the worst time to drive if you're hating people. and so I just remember stopping at this gas station in Iowa, and these guys look at me, and I go, just say the word. I said,
oh my God.
Just say the word. I go, I'm ready to go. And I just remember, like, I go, I got to find this mental place. You know what I mean? And it took me until Biden got elected to finally get in the right mental space. So when you said check your mentals, that resonated with me. And when you said check your mental, and you said meditation, and it wasn't a bunch of, you know, like I said, 15 years ago, yeah, I'd have been like, well, what the fuck is she talking about? But now I get it, because you got to get this right. You got to get this right, and if this is right, everything else goes right. So was that a process for you also?
For sure.
I mean, how did you find it? How did you get to this part with meditation, and it's helped you with your life?
My kid sister. So, you know, my baby sister has lived out in basically California, LA, in the Malibu area for the past 5 years since she graduated from IU. And in the past couple of years, she became trained or found and then was taught Kundalini Yoga. Now, Kundalini Yoga specifically is the yoga of awareness. So
Okay.
the yoga that you're doing, Kundalini will not look anything like it. In fact, it's the meditation we do, and most of the time we're seated. But it's easily one of the most like physically demanding and also like mentally demanding things, challenging things I've ever done. Because like we do it for 20 minutes at a time. My sister started this thing on Zoom on February the 2nd, and I've done it for 6 days a week. She does a 20-minute Kundalini quickfire meditation online, and I've been in every single one of them. And like I said, most of the 20 minutes, my brain is screaming like the whole time. It's like, we got to promo that show. Do we have a light for this? Or you got to do this. Are we doing this? Or just being like, just thinking of the humans I know or irritations I feel. And it's like, maybe the whole 20 minutes I feel completely like not zen.
Right.
But the beautiful thing is when I get out of it, then the rest of the day I have that zen or it starts to come. So it's like the thing about meditation in general, or what I'm learning, and I encourage anyone that hears this and is curious about it, it's like, you're never really in a place until way down the road where you're like still. And like meditation is more just like watching things like little clouds come into your mind and then just kind of watching them go out and reserving I think we need to have less judgment all the way around on ourselves, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And others. And so like in meditation, you strip that judgment away and you just say, hey, every time your brain goes somewhere, if you bring it back in the snapback, that's where the meditation is. So it's like, even if you're in there and the whole time, like I said, brain screaming, body's hungry, tired, why, what, not working. Well, I'm just here to tell you, all I know is that like I had an idea and an understanding of what meditation was. On February the 2nd, I locked in at just the 20-minute mark. That's it. Not an hour, not more, 20 minutes. Basically every day since then. And I mean, I went from January 1st, I had one date down on my calendar. One. And it was for the end of January, or it was for the beginning of March, March 1st, and it was Toledo, Ohio, and it was supposed to be my first headline ever at 30 minutes. And I was like, awesome. Yeah. But guess what? I started meditating and doing other things, and I had headlined 4 times before that show. It just started happening, so it's like, I can't tell you that any of this stuff is correlated. And honestly, if you're looking for a quick fix, nothing will do that for you. Yeah. But if you're willing to do the work all the way around and like have an understanding that moving your body, breathing.
Yes, breathing is so important. Yes.
Logging off of social media. That's something for me.
Yeah.
Like where I find if I'm on social media, I just want to buy stuff, or I'm constantly like, a comic will put out a flyer. You know what I mean? And I'm like, you're not doing enough. And I'm like, that's not even, get off there.
I bought a water pick last night.
Yeah, dude.
At 1 o'clock in the morning.
Get off there. I'm on edibles half the time, so I don't drink anymore. Like I don't need to, Yes. I forgot about an edibles purchase I made, and then a hat got delivered to my house last year that said, I will meditate and then destroy you. I haven't even worn it because I'm like, what the fuck were you? What is that for? Like, what is that message? But I stand by it, but I'm like just be careful. Like, just gentle with your mentals. See, I'm about to see a therapist, so it's like, there are all those things where it's like, I'm such a proponent of that more than even anything you could do comedically. Yeah, okay. Like as a comic, I'm like, we can tell you, you even know better than I. We can tell you all the steps. Show up at mics, be nice, collaborate, like understand there's a million ways to be funny and they don't all have to be in XYZ. However, it's just like, it's just that your humanity will make you a better comic. Like I realized that last year as well. I just had one of those moments of clarity where I'm like, oh, the strongest, sharpest Hannah in life, the best me that I can be, as far as like the breathing, the physical natures, the discipline, the boundaries, that I will be the best comic I'd ever be. Yeah. Doing that stuff. Yeah. Because I'm the best Hannah I'll ever be. Yeah. So if you're that and you can sharpen your pencil, well, you can write any fucking jokes.
Well, let me ask you this. And this is,
your jokes will hold more power and stamina when you're standing up there more complete as well. So burn yourself out. I did all that stuff too. 2019, I was 5 nights a week on stage, driving out of state, every couple weeks, working 5 mornings a week at garden table, serving, you know what I mean? Orange Theory, just being with humans. And now I'm like, oh, no, last year really slowed us down in a lot of ways, in a lot of beautiful ways. And I realized, I'm like, oh, I can do less with more. Yeah. Less shows. I don't have to be up there all the time. So it's like, honestly, being at mics when you first start is important. You need to be at them. You got to show face. Like, I showed my face everywhere. Yeah. But also, like, even if you're not, if you're just committed to, like, working on your own face and your own life and looking at what that looks like in the mirror, well, I promise you your comedy will be stronger. Anything you do will be stronger because you are.
Let me ask you this. This I don't know if this I think bugged me more probably than you, because you kind of brushed it off. But it was on your Instagram.
Okay.
And this dude wrote, because I was like, wow. This was on her Instagram, so it's not like I'm bringing it up. But this dude wrote, and I quote, go, "If I'm being honest, I wish I could go with you to every mic and just learn from you and stick my head between your legs for hours at a time. But that is what it is. Don't leave me feeling dumb." And I was like, wow. I mean, you laughed it off, but I was like, you know what? Like,
it's hard not to laugh that off. It's the absurdity of that entire paragraph. Here's where I laughed it off, BT.
Okay.
One, that's another open micer. Okay, this was a person that I had done like the Joker's mic with.
Okay.
On Monday nights, just a kid. You know, just a nice kid.
Yeah.
When he sent me that, I remember reading it, and the funniest thing is I'm so twisted up in my brain that immediately, like, it wasn't even about the going down on me part that, like, got me all thrilled. I was like, oh, wow, this fucker wants to come with me to every mic and learn? Whoa. Like, my ego was like, oh, yeah, yep. And then you could go down on me. And either way, both of the things not on the table. But it was so funny because, like, immediately I messaged back, and I was like, I legitimately, word for word, I just said, I don't have a response for that currently because I didn't. I didn't know what to say. Yeah. I didn't know what to, I just wasn't sure. And then the next day he messages me back and he's like, I'm so sorry. I hadn't taken ecstasy in a while. And I was like, it's all right, buddy. All of that was complimentary. I know that it came out weird. And frankly, you know, we don't have to dwell in it anymore because you said it and I screenshot it and put it on the internet. But I think that, you know, and it hasn't really stopped anything. BT, I could put up things that people send me, guys and girls, all the time, and I just do not. Because that would open up a whole nother.
But okay, but on stage, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I see people like say, who maybe talk, you know, I don't know, I haven't seen your whole act. So I don't know if you talk, you know, openly, sexually, or whatever. But, you know, I've seen you when you open up for Bozeman or whatever. So I don't know your whole entire act.
For sure.
I don't know if, you know, you're that open. But I know that, like, you know, like, I look at people like Nikki Glaser, Amy Schumer, whatever.
Sure.
And I'm all for, okay, you know, talk about whatever. But at the end of the day, I'm like, man, you know, aren't you afraid of that one fan who's just going to be a stalker? That one fan who's just not going to be like, oh, no, BT, she likes me.
I feel like I've made jokes about this on stage or to friends, but I'm already meeting some of those people. And the thing is, it's like, I don't even think it has anything to do with my comedy. It's just more like I've always had that, like, people have always been drawn to me. Just right. It's because I'm a warm human. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm non-judgmental. I always have like I have a vast knowledge with which to draw from and think. And so, whatever, it's cool. And now another thing, like, that's the craziest thing about this Asian American violence. Before, I had been joking about on stage how, like, being Asian actually makes me ultra popular. Because I was like, everybody, even racists, have boners for Asians. They do. I was like, people love me because I look like every iteration of a sex doll. Like, you know what I mean? Like, truly. Like, if I just open my mouth on stage, like, depending, people are like, for sure, would buy that. We'll buy that model tomorrow. If you make sure it has...
And that dude turned around and looked at the same time.
You are, dude.
What did he say? What
yeah.
Did he say? Yeah.
Tickets to the Han Canyon, baby. You can, it would be a popular one. It would be the model of the sex doll would be called Trailer Moon. Super cute. Look for it on shelves soon. Don't tempt me. I also have an OnlyFans. I haven't used it yet. I created it last year as a contingency, but didn't even need to.
I don't want to go there.
We don't have to go there. Another pod, BT. But I think, yeah. I mean, it's absolutely wild. But like I can see now, people will wait for me after shows. And even like the other night in Columbus, it was a little girl, and she was adorable, you know. And it's like my body not having any tits and. You know, this attitude, and my voice screams at least bi, you know, but embarrassingly enough, I only like dudes. So stupid. I'm over it. Ladies, keep making pushes for me. It keeps me alive and afloat, but I don't have much for you. But they'll be waiting, you know, and it'll be like an adorable, like, little girl, like, you know, and she'll just be saying stuff and just, like, wants to show me her Vonnegut tattoos and, like, relate to something. And I'm just like, oh, I'm going to fuck your frat brother. You know, I know you're better, but I'm going to get a yeast infection instead. Good on you. But, yeah, like, you can see. And I mean, I'm already, and that's where I'm like, I'm not fearful, but I definitely, you never know how that kind of stuff can develop.
But
So
that's
I'm
what I
just
mean,
like being,
though. Yeah.
I'm being more conscientious as well of just making sure that, you know, like a person that was in 2019 that was on the road by myself almost exclusively.
Yes.
I'm getting better about like now, even like my best friend Scott, like kind of becoming like a manager figure for me and like some other things to make sure I have humans around me because it's just, frankly, it isn't safe. And I am at the end of the day, no matter how I feel, how secure, how no fear, how whatever loved and supported as I am still an Asian American woman.
Just a woman, period.
And you know what I mean? In a
just
racist
a woman, period.
state, you know, like states.
But
so
yeah, but you know what? Yeah, but it's a double thing because I mean, you're a woman. Because I've worked with women who are open sexually on stage, and I've seen what it does to guys, and I'm like, oh boy. I was like, you good, baby? We walk you to your car, you know? Because I tell people all the time, like, yeah, I'm a pervert, and it's it. But I don't cross that line. You know, if I work with you, I'd still be professional. You know, you know. So it's like I see that. Hey, you want to just hang out or something? I'm like, oh, this dude's a fucking, you know, it's just a fucking nut job. You better be careful. And that's what I worry about with female, because it starts out just being a female, period. And the way sex is in America, or just in general anyway, you know, and you mix that with religion, and you guys, you know, it goes crazy with guys. Like, oh, that's why, you know, with the strippers, that's why guys like strippers in a way, because they're free with their sexuality. So like, oh God, you know, it's my kind of woman. She's open. But they deal with that religious thing on top of it, that layer it, and like, oh, this is bad. No, but it's good. It's bad. And then, so you come in with the funny also. And then, so that's that triple layer.
for sure, it's an approachable sexuality. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I said to a dude one time, a long time ago, I was like, all I need is fuck me, feed me, make me laugh. And I was like, honestly, I can do all three, but the last two better than you. So like, just the first, you know, so it's like when you make jokes like that, yeah, people are like, oh, hey, and you know, when you're making merch that says squirt curry on it. And people like, I mean, I was serving at Garden Table last year and a person walked by and they were like, squirt curry. And I almost dropped my avocado toast. Like the lady I was serving it to like looked at me and smiled and I was like, it's one of my jokes. I don't even know how to explain it to you. It's racial and MBA. I don't know what to, you know. So, but yeah, that opens the floodgates for people saying all kinds of tomfoolery to you.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's why, but honestly, that's why I worry about females who do that, because I know what comes with it. I mean, you know, with everything you say, something comes with, you know, or the guy, you can only get to a certain point when you argue with another dude where it's like, all right, it's go time. You know what I mean?
Sure.
That's just the truth. No matter what you talk about, there's going to be repercussions. And so with the woman, and you have, you know, male audience members, and it's going to be that one guy. I worry about that. Maybe he's drank a little too much, or he just waits around. He knows where to wait. You know what I mean?
See, and that's the kind of stuff where I will also say that I'm like being a little more conscientious of, even on my social media, because I'm a person where you can see where I'm at, and I like sharing where I'm at because I want to support small businesses and the things that are also very important to me.
Seen that.
However, I'm being careful to just like not post about things in like real time sometimes, because like I don't want people knowing about where I'm walking out of every second of every day. You know, like I'm understanding it's like there are different ways to share that keep me a little more like out of harm's way. Yeah. You know.
Yeah, so good for you. I mean,
Yeah.
just be careful.
We're
I
working
mean, honestly, I just love what you do on your social media. I love how you, like you said, check in with your friends, check your mentals, and you know it's okay to ask for help, and what you're doing. And I mean, like I said, man, if I would have saw me 20 years talking like this, I'd be like, well, this guy's cheesy. But I mean it from the bottom of my heart. I love what you're doing, and I love how you check, like you said, check your mentals. Make sure you're good. You know, help other people.
I'm going to say one more thing to you to get back to something we talked about at the very start.
Okay.
I didn't ever not like you. I never saw you. I never saw BT out and about because BT is a headliner and he didn't come around. So what he's acting is like, oh, okay, I never saw Hannah. Hannah didn't talk to me. No, fucker would pop up like once a month at Helium. I'd happen to be there. He'd come in, he'd get the longest spot on the mic, and then he would walk out. He wouldn't even be there for the whole 25 people. As, you know, frankly, I don't even like waiting through those kinds of stuff. So I was not able to really let you know or even get to know you in a way like the way I would have, but I've always had mad respect for you. In fact, that's part of the reason I didn't really say anything or pal around, because I was like, I understood you to be a professional and doing like a good job. And it's just like with those humans, I'd just rather kind of like watch and learn. Yeah. And then get to know you on my own time. Like I haven't met Miss Pat yet, but I know one day I will. And whenever I will, that'll be the most optimal time for that to happen.
Right.
You know, instead of Morty's way back when. Although I would have loved to seen her beat that guy's ass at Morty's.
Oh, I was there that night.
I was not, but I would have killed to be. I'd have started comedy earlier just to watch Miss Pat.
Well, thank you. I mean it.
This dude.
So no, thank you. I mean that. So I'm glad we got that out of the way. So good. So, but no, and honestly, I like how, and I didn't realize that until you said something on social, kind of like in the past, and like, hey, maybe I can be on your show. I go, oh shit, and I was like, really? That's why I was like, maybe she does come out. You know what I mean? Maybe there is a, like, I just thought you never did.
I see everyone that's working.
Yeah, so I didn't know. And I was like, well, okay. That's why I was like, oh, really? And so I was so happy. So, man, I just thank you so much for coming by. And I knew I had to have you on because it was so, your life is so layered in everything. Like I said, you know, with the religious background and then with the, you know, the substance abuse problem that, you know, and God bless you on that. I know it's hard and you're getting through it. And I mean that because I know it's a battle. And I see it in your posts. That's why, like, I'm glad you're okay. Mm-hmm. And what is it going on 3 years now that you're sober?
Well, yep. So I will be September 5th will be my 3rd year.
Congratulations on. I mean that it's tough. So congratulations on that. Congratulations on life and how you're doing it. Because I know it's tough, and you're doing it, and you're living the dream. And I mean it from the bottom. It sounds cheesy, I know, but man, I'm just happy for you. And I know it's a battle, and I see that. I mean, I see that when you talk on your post, and I'm just happy for you. So if you ever get in that spot, man, please hit me up and we can just
100%. And if anybody can hear the sound of my voice as well, like I'm very available. Like I'm busy.
Yeah.
And you know, but it's like if you want to send anything from, you know, a request to potentially take me out to Texas Roadhouse or like 22-year-olds do, or, you know, or you just like, I mean, I probably get a message once a week minimum from someone who wants to get sober or who's also watched something like that too. And you know, I don't talk about it every day. In fact, most of the time I don't. Yeah. But it's just like, those are the kinds of things that like you have access to me in that way too. Yeah. Like I'm a person, I'll send you a message back. I don't go through the program, but I know all the people in it. So it's like, if you need help, if you hear anything today that sounds like it resonates with you, I am more than happy to like point you towards all the movers and shakers I know at any level.
Beautiful. And how can they reach you?
You can follow me on Instagram at Vanderpump like the show Vanderpump on Bravo, but with just HANDER Pump Rules. And then I'm Hannah Roeschlein on. Otherwise, I'm going to release a website soon, curatedsavage.com, and I got a bunch of other shit coming. But yeah.
I wish you nothing but the best, Hannah. Thank you so much.
This was awesome.
No, thank you so much for being my guest. I honestly, bottom of my heart, thank you so much. There's somebody who needed to see this, and I'm glad I heard your story, and I hope it resonates with everybody like it resonated with me, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for watching Tales from the Gemini with my wonderful guest, Hannah Roeschlein. And like I say around this time, peace.